Both myself and a lot of other Newcastle United fans have always stated that Sandro Tonali and Bruno, to a degree, are probably two of the best midfielders that we have ever seen play for Newcastle United in our time supporting the club. Now, Sandro Tonali came out in an interview last night after the game and was asked about his future, but wouldn't exactly commit to Newcastle United long term. Now, I don't mind what he had to say, so we'll take a look at that, see if you agree with me or not. And Eddie Howe has confirmed that Anthony Gordon was withdrawn because of, obviously, a hip injury. We could all see that. But was it a risk worth taking, knowing that he's had the problem for a few weeks? And is that really making an excuse up for his poor performances in the Premier League? I'm not sure what to make of it, guys. We'll dive into that as well. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Toon Review. This is Paul. This is your latest Newcastle United news. We will start off with Sandro Tonali, and it's caused a bit of a stir, this, with what he's had to say last night. There's a lot of journalists jumping on this and reporting it over here in the UK and back in Milan. But I really don't pay any attention to what the Milan journalists have to say because they're out to cause trouble all the time. But he was asked after collecting the Man of the Match award what he thinks of his future, where does he see his future? And he didn't necessarily commit long-term to Newcastle. But like I said in the intro, I'm not sure that I'm too worried about what he had to say because it's an honest response. Because, you know, you never know what's going to happen in football, to be honest. But what he did do, he gave an honest and open response that he's very happy at Newcastle United right now, but did reference Alexander Isak's situation on how things can change. Your own feelings and the club's feelings, etc., which was an interesting comment. Now, he is contracted till 2029 right now, so he's still got years left on his contract. And, of course, that includes an option to another year to 2030, which is fantastic. We're going to get the best of Sandro Tonali's, career. And that fills me with joy as a fan, knowing how he plays, to get the best of him. That may change, of course. You never know how football's going to end up. But I really do genuinely think that Sandro Tonali will be here for a good few years yet. But when he was asked about the future, he said he's not thinking that far ahead and just focusing on the here and now. Now, I don't particularly think there's a story in that. You know, he's thinking about the here and now, and especially what he's been through with the suspension and everything. Why shouldn't he just think of the here and now? He doesn't want to look too far ahead. He's enjoying where he's at the moment. He said, this is a tough question because, you know, in football, you need to think year for year, which is perfectly normal. He says, I don't want to say I want to stay here 10 years and in 2 years, 3 or 4, 5, I will go. I want to think just for me, year for year. This is football. The last summer was tough for us, and it was for Alex, but this is football. He says, if you have an option for your life for another team, you need to think about everything. I don't want to say, yes, I want to stay here 10 years, but now, right here, I'm happy. I don't think anything about another team. Now, what he's getting at there is basically that Alexander Isak obviously thought very highly of Liverpool when they came knocking. It was a very hard deal to turn down for Alexander Isak, and he ended up doing what he's doing. Now, that's not to say that Sandro's going to do the same thing by any stretch of the imagination, but it does make you think that maybe there is clubs out there who Sandro has an eye on playing for in the future, wants to be a part of later on in his career. That's fine. Every footballer has aspirations. It's how you behave in the moment. And I don't think Sandro really wanted to throw Isak under the bus, which he's been very sort of gentle on that and hasn't gone for him. But, you know, we don't want to see a repeat of that, which is why I think we need to get Sandro Tonali a much better deal than what he's already on now, because he deserves it. He's going to be a magnificent player for Newcastle United for years to come. Now, the fact that he's not talking about any other team, I think that should settle Newcastle United fans right down as well, and not worry about it. He says, I'm happy about it. The extension that he's talking about was 3 years ago after the ban. I don't know why the last week everybody spoke about it. So Sandro's very surprised that people have come out and mentioned the extension that he signed when he was suspended. He said that was done ages ago, and it was a bit of a surprise to him that it was mentioned. When I had the ban, when I was off the pitch, I signed my contract for 1 year because it was difficult staying off the pitch for what was my fault, my problem, and take all the money from this team. The club spoke to me, spoke to my agent, and we signed for 1 more year, but it's not for the money. It's not for 1 more year. It was because I have confidence in this team, and this team have confidence in me, so we work together. But every day for me is the same here. Every day I work for the win. Every game I work for every person at Newcastle. I work for my family. I work really hard for every single person here. So that's what he had to say. Now, I don't really mind that at all. Basically saying that he's given his very best for Newcastle, which is exactly what we want to hear as fans, that he's just Newcastle through and through at the minute. And, of course, talking about when he had the ban, he wanted to repay Newcastle. He's already said that numerous times, that he wanted to repay Newcastle, wanted to repay the fans, the club in general, for the support that he received while he was banned. And that's why he signed the deal. Obviously, it wasn't about money, but I think money will come into it to get him under a better deal. And it has to. Sandro Tonali is, there's other teams around the world we know that could spend an absolute fortune on Tonali and give him the wages that only certain players can ever dream of getting. He is that good. But it's very important to Newcastle now to try. And Ross Wilson faces a huge job, by the way, of trying to sort of get this deal done and get Tonali under a better contract. There's other players within this squad who we know need better contracts as well. We just have to see how he does this and wait and see what the future brings. But I don't think I'm as worried from Sandro's comments there that a lot of fans are. I find it really strange that they're panicking, thinking, oh, God, he's got his eye on another team and he's going to bugger off. I don't see it that way at all. I really don't. So, listen, whatever happens, I think we're going to get the next 2, 3, 4 years out of Tonali, which will be the best years of his career. And we will benefit from that without a shadow of a doubt for me. Now, Anthony Gordon. Look, we've been very hard on Anthony Gordon recently, and I believe rightly so, because he hasn't performed. And he hasn't performed in the Premier League. He's done it a little bit in the Champions League, yes. However, I kind of agree with a lot of other people when they say that, the opposition in the Champions League that he's performed against, the USG and Benfica to a degree, they're probably, lower league, Premier League teams if we look at them playing in England. I know Benfica's a huge name, but where they are right now as a club, that's what I'm talking about. But you look at Gordon's performances and you think there's just something going on. Now, Eddie Howe did say a few weeks ago that Gordon was niggled by a hip injury. He did say that in a press conference, but nothing more was said about it and everybody just got on with things. Now, I'm finding it a little bit funny because he was terrible again last night. He was absolute garbage. And I was at the game and I watched him very closely. Now, to be fair, he was holding his hip a lot before he was taken off. From the start of the game to the point of getting taken off, when the ball had disappeared, so probably not showing up on camera on TV, but he was grabbing his hip. Now, if this has been a long-term problem for Anthony Gordon, are we not learning lessons here? Are we not learning lessons about putting players on the pitch when they're injured? Gordon, look, you can look back and say, well, hang on a minute. You're trying to tell me that he wasn't very good because of a hip injury. I don't believe that for a second. Yes, he might have a hip problem, but his performances, if he had a hip problem, yet he's able to turn it on in the Champions League and not in the Premier League, that's nothing to do with a hip problem, by the way. So the games he's performed with and then gone into the Premier League and done nothing, you can't turn around and say, well, he had a hip injury. Because if that's the case, how was he able to perform so well in the Champions League? It makes no sense to me, and I just hope that Newcastle United aren't coming out with this hip problem that Anthony Gordon's got as an excuse for his form. Because remember, folks, he's gone, 19 Premier League games without any goal contribution. That's way before any hip problem started. So for me, there is an issue with Anthony Gordon. Look, he's plagued by a hip injury, fair enough, and probably shouldn't have played last night because he was terrible. Now, he was feeling his hip a lot last night, so the chances are that was a bit of a cause for his poor performance when he was on the pitch last night, but not before. You can't turn around and just blame this Premier League form on the hip injury and then not on his Champions League good form. Doesn't make any sense. So, listen, we'll have to see what happens with Anthony Gordon, but for me, I think a spell on the sidelines might do him some good. Harvey Barnes, I think, did okay last night. I think, he got an assist, of course, worked very hard. Murphy, when he came on, I thought Murphy had a really mixed game, actually, from being in the ground and watching him put some beautiful crosses in. But on the other flip side of that, gave the ball away so many times, it was unbelievable. So, he had a very mixed game yesterday, Jacob Murphy. But you know what? In general, I was pretty happy with the performance. And I am surprised, I have to say, by a lot of the comments on my reaction video when I got back to the car last night. There was a lot of comments on there saying, "Oh, you're wrong about Joe Linton. I thought Joe Linton was shit." I thought Joe Linton looked the best he's looked in a long time. And I'm not sure whether that's people watching on TV or people who were at the ground. I don't know. But I was shocked by that. And I thought the all-round performance was decent. Was it breathtakingly good? Absolutely not. There's still issues there, without a shadow of a doubt. And, those issues will have to be ironed out and sorted by Brentford away, because for me, that is the huge game coming up before the international break. We play Brentford. We have to win that game. We have to perform in the Premier League, and especially away from home. And it's like Dan Burn was alluding to in his press conference. It's probably a bigger game. Now, everybody was up for it last night, you could tell, which you expect under the Lights Champions League. The atmosphere's red hot. It's fantastic in there. So you expect Newcastle to turn up. Now they've got to go and do it at Brentford, or serious questions are going to be asked as to what the motivation is from the manager, what the motivation is from the players, to try and get up from these Premier League away games. We've got to perform, and it's not going to be an easy task at Brentford, who are doing really well. They're a good side at home, so we have to go there and be very professional. Just play the game we know. Get in the faces, pass it around. Some of the passing last night was excellent. It really was. The one-touch passing, the breaks that we created because of the one-touch passing, and then in times in the game we were asleep as well. And we know in the Premier League that if you go to sleep too long, you get punished. So we can't afford that. We'll have to see what happens with Dan Burn. Obviously came off with a foot knock. However, Lewis Hall was simply incredible when he came on the pitch. Absolutely incredible. So I'm looking forward to him getting back in the team, to be honest, because boy, oh boy, is he going to make a huge difference to us. But there you go. As usual, guys, please do leave a comment below with what your thoughts on the news are. And, of course, give it a like, and please do subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also check out our merchandise website, which is thetoonreview.com. Thank you, everybody, for your recent orders on there as well, keeping the suppliers nice and busy. And we will see you again tonight for the match review. Me and Billy will be with you, and we'll take a deeper dive into the game, all sorts of different parts of the game, where we were good, where we were bad, and, of course, the all-round player ratings as well. So we'll see you at 7. But in the meantime, have a great day, folks. Take care.